I took to have a hearing this morning, so I'm going to do the hearing and do a couple of meetings and then come back home to head to the airport.
Oh, okay. Okay. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're just going to ask that everybody mute their line, just so we can have a wonderful and clear event today. We're very excited to have you. We can already see you logging in, so thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We're going to hear a quick video message from the 2021 Angaza Award winner, Ms. Lina Higoro, who's the CEO of NCBA. And then we'll go right into the program. So thank you, welcome, and let's hear a quick message. Thank you.
My background and leadership journey started almost 30 years ago. When I was thinking about this question, I realized I'm quite senior in the work world. 30 years of working, 15 years in commercial banking, specifically in Rwanda. But in the previous 15 years in all sectors, administration, marketing, the education sector, NGO sector, and in 3 countries, in Canada, South Africa. Actually, I worked a bit in Kenya and also Rwanda. So that spans my work experience. In the commercial banking sector, I have worked in 4 banks so far, NCBA being my 4th bank, with FINA Bank being my first bank. FINA Bank is now GT Bank. There I started the SME department, and I'm proud to say we closed with about $11 million in assets and a healthy loan book, and also women who become managers in different areas in the banking sector. I moved from FINA Bank to I&M Bank, where I handled corporate strategy and planning and even business growth, and my pride there was being able to restructure outside Kigali branches and being able to contribute about 30% deposits to the bank, which was not seen as a possibility prior to that. And also working in various projects which most people did not want to work with, which then led me to my next level, which was a microfinance, where I was the COO. It's AB Bank. There, I positioned the bank as the 2nd largest non-funded income fee bank in 6 of the access banks in Africa, and also introduced new customer lines, especially on the savings side. I then moved to NCBA in 2018, July, which is making this about 3.5 years in my career journey. And proud to say that we started as a loss-making bank about $2.5 million this month, which is about April. We are closing in at about $1 million profit before tax. So we're quite proud of the team, proud of the achievements so far. Did I think I would ever be a CEO of a financial institution? No, I did know, and I purposed myself to be a leader of an institution. I did not see that it would be a bank. And actually, if it wasn't for women in the financial sector, I would not be a CEO of a financial institution like NCBA. The most instructive advice I received was from a lady called Denise Kimashia, who was the PwC partner in Rwanda at the time when I was at I&M. And I really sought her out just to see how her career had progressed. I admired the way she carried herself, managed her family, everything. And she asked me a question and said, why aren't you looking at being a CEO of a bank someday? And I remember responding saying, I'm not a CFO. It looks like everybody has to have a CFA or see something to become a CEO of a bank, especially in Rwanda. And she then said to me, have you ever looked at what your CEO does every day? And when I thought about that, I realized what our CEO did at the time, and most did was really influence. He sold to us, sold to customers, and worked on influencing decisions. And that just changed my whole view of would I be a CEO of a financial sector. So that for me was a very powerful, just simple query that asked me to observe the leaders in my environment. And I then believed I could actually be a CEO of a financial institution. Following from the advice I got from a woman in finance who was in PwC, two women encouraged me to apply for the NCBA CEO role, which I really did not think I qualified for. And they just really pushed me. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be in this role. I wouldn't be pushing forward the agenda of inclusion, of a different type of leadership in the financial sector. If it wasn't for them, I would also not be the first female Rwandan CEO of a commercial bank recruited in the private sector, or even at the time, the first female CEO for CBA 56 years on. So it is quite important to have women in the financial sector. Even post my appointment, I've also had a lot of encouragement. I've been able to promote initiatives in the financial sector because of support of women. So it's really important to have women to support you, and also for the visibility for those to see that if you're a woman in leadership, it's actually possible for the young girls to say, I can do it. So it is extremely important. We're also serving a segment of women, and if women don't see you leading an institution, sometimes they feel that you will not listen to their needs. So there's also a revenue opportunity. We need to serve and be reflective of the market that we are serving. It's both male and female, and that's really why it's important. So there's a revenue aspect, there is an inspirational aspect, and there's also growth, opportunities to uniquely identify growth for women in the sector. The Angaza Awards experience was phenomenal. First of all, I entered the competition having first heard about it from other women in finance. That's why it's so important to have women in finance. They challenged me and I just did it. Once again, just like my job and the current job I have. And what it showed me was a spotlight on a minority, for example, women in finance. It gives you visibility nationally, it gives you visibility in your institution. It makes you have to look inward and ask yourself, in this community, what am I and what can I do? It's actually once you do appear as a winner, it challenges you to make a difference, and it has been quite a phenomenal experience. Are these platforms such as Angaza Awards necessary? Yes, because the little that I do in Rwanda can become like a domino effect in another country. What I've been able to do and what Angaza forced me to do was really things that I had thought I needed to do were pushed forward. And so, yes, we do need platforms like Angaza that recognize women who are making a difference in the sector. What has happened with me since the Angaza Awards, having been the first Angaza Award winner in Rwanda? First of all, I'd like to say in just NCBA Rwanda, we've promoted 17 women in the last 12 months. And that has come as a result of being purposeful in the recruitment process and giving an opportunity to those who would not actually get an opportunity. Training, there are gaps we recognize in training, which I also recognize from reading and being immersed in what is affecting our women in not moving forward. We now have additional 2 EXCO members as women in the last year, which we didn't have in the last 3 years. In addition, we launched a women in NCBA community, and also our men in NCBA community, recognizing that we cannot work alone. And so we have those 2 communities, and we happen to be the first bank to have a women's community and a men's community. And what this has done is there's a ripple effect. We have the central bank that also introduced the women's community, and others that are now coming up. And it's been really fantastic. And the partnerships that have come up have really supported women overall. We have women leading communities. We have a woman leading our book club. We are also looking at attaining the gender seal from UNDP, which will then put us at a place where we're really addressing gender-related issues, not just men and women, but really addressing gender-related issues in the sector. We implemented mental health a free employee assistance program for NCBA staff, but that only came as when I had support from other women, where we also brought this mental health initiative to the financial sector. I would not have done it without other women supporting me, and with that, we've really come up with a lot of initiatives to support women in the workplace. We introduced a lactation mother's room, one of the first in the country, and so there's a lot coming. There's a lot coming with what the Angaza Awards has done. The spotlight really does force us to do more than just create institutions that are revenue generating.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lena, for your message. We're very thankful for the wonderful message where she really shared with us how the Angaza Awards have been able to really challenge her internally, give her the spotlight within her institution and within the industry, and also create programs within the bank and for customers and for the community, including mental health. So it's a wonderful testament to the opportunity presented by the Angaza Awards platform. At this point, I'd like to welcome Mr. Eric Suma. Eric is, Mr. Eric Suma is the Chief Executive Officer of Kenyan Wall Street and co-founder of HISA app. Eric has been a he for she champion, really being on board from the beginning, supporting the Angaza Awards and leveraging his platform to help amplify the awards. Eric, please welcome and share your comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Rina. Thank you, Nuru. It's a pleasure to speak to everyone today. Hope you can all see me.
Please go ahead, Eric.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Maybe a brief background about myself. So Eric is my name. I'm the co-founder of HISA Inc., which is a company that owns both Kenyan Wall Street and HISA app. So Kenyan Wall is a media company with a bit of bias towards business and financial news reporting, while HISA enables Kenyans or anyone across Africa to invest in the stock market or in financial markets with minimum investments. Maybe a little bit backwards, think around what the journey that we've had with Nuru and the team. I think initially, Nuru had this idea around how do we empower and raise awareness of, say, seasoned women in the financial services industry who made so much impact for our industry, because there wasn't a platform then that recognized and just raised awareness around the important role that women are playing in the industry. So around 2020, 2021, I think we held the inaugural one was in 2021, whereby we received extremely good applications from the entire financial services industry. So I can think of bid circles, bid fund managers, from regulators, banks, microfinances, and the kind of applications that we received were really of great quality. And I remember one of the things that we said, look, there's a possibility if in the initial one we attracted professionals, say, from the entire region. I could think of Rwanda, South Sudan, Tanzania, and Uganda. And then we now began thinking of how do we now take this to be a Pan-African sort of event. And Nuru, thanks for your leadership on that particular end. I think we went Pan-African, and that was the goal, to enable to get women across the entire continent to get noticed. And I think in the current batch that we have, extremely high quality, very professional women who made a name for themselves in the respective space that they in their respective space. And one of the things that we thought probably we could check out from these two from the two awards that we've held is that most of the applications actually came from organizations that I can say are doing extremely well, both financially and even from creating value for shareholders. So when I look at that, is that there's no brainer. I think when it comes to implementing gender diversity in management, both even at a board level, I think that greatly improves, say, financial outcomes, stability, and even that bring greater focus on transparency and ethics. So my encouragement is to fellow fintech founders to think of how do they improve representation of women in their leadership positions. That's it from me. Thanks again, and let's continue chatting here.
Thank you so much. Indeed, let's use the Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you for your comments. It's a wonderful call to action that you have in terms of really just making sure that all financial services, including fintech companies, start really thinking about their diversity strategy from within and also as they serve the market. Our colleague Marita is going to be helping us by posting the bios of the speakers as we go along. Just in the interest of time, we're going to be able to get feedback. We're going to be able to get feedback, and Marita will be posting for us the bios as we get along. The hashtags we're using today are Angaza Awards and Africa Women in Finance. Please feel free to engage with us on these hashtags. So if you're just joining us, Karibuni Sana, welcome, Murakeza Neza, Siwek Beck, and however you say welcome in your language, welcome. We're really excited to have you here. Allow us to just recognize our sponsors and spotlight the sponsors who have really been there to really support the awareness creation for this event and to help us cover the costs. We also thank our many partners who have really been our cheerleaders: Platform Africa, the Africa Securities and Exchange Association, Leading Ladies of Ghana, New Faces, New Voices Kenya, the Gracia Michelle Trust, East Africa Venture Capital Association, Kenya Bankers Association, Women on Boards Network Kenya, and Gazi. We really thank our event partners, and also we thank the three companies that really have been doing the heavy lifting: Digital Banker Africa, which is a Pan-Africa magazine and platform; Kenyan Wall Street, you've heard from Mr. Eric Suma, who is the co-founder of the media company; and Kaleidoscope Consultants, which is a specialty consulting company. So the program today, we're going to be really quick. We want to be done in about an hour's time. We want to receive a judge's report that just kind of helps us understand how the Angaza Awards process was run and how the winners were selected. We'll receive 3 keynote remarks. We will recognize the top 10. We'll give a roll call of the top 10 and also announce what we're really excited about: the People's Choice Vote. This was the first time that we opened up the Angaza process for the public to vote for their top popular candidate. So we're going to announce who that winner is. We will have a panel discussion. Looking forward to that. Cross-continental panel discussion. Looking forward to that. And then we'll announce the call for entries for the next awards and really just end by saying Asanteni Sana. So that's our program. And we have a message from Ms. Mary Wamae, who is the Angaza 2021 awardee and also executive director at Equity Bank. Equity is one of our partners, and once Ms. Mary Wamae was selected as an Angaza awardee, they jumped in and really said, we're going to support as much as possible because they really like what we're trying to do with the awards program. So we thank our brothers and sisters at Equity Bank. Here's a quick message from Ms. Mary Wamae.
Sometimes we don't appreciate the power of what we say, sometimes very unintentionally, that it might make a difference to somebody's life. And that is what I discovered, because people you've never met, and they're telling you, you inspire me, and I'm like, what did I do? And what the girls and the women are looking for are credible role models. And unfortunately, I think for some time we've had short supply of them. But I think I'm so happy to see that now we are building a very credible pipeline of role models, people that others can look up to, and people who are value-driven, because for me it's all about values. What do we stand for as individuals? Because that is also what we translate to the institutions that we work for. What I stand for personally, a lot shapes what I do in equity, what I do when I'm not in equity in my personal life. And I think that is really the difference. It is very exciting to see what is happening. Even this forum alone, I listen to people and say, oh, I'm in charge of this, I'm head of this, I'm director of this. Because it is testimony that we can do it. I mean, you sit in the boardroom sometimes, and the chairman is giving a very interesting and very powerful point, and then your house girl writes to you. Who doesn't like to see the house girl's message? At 10 a.m. and then mtoto wako na joto. The baby has fever. So you're wondering, okay, so do I continue listening to the chairman? Or do I step out and call the house girl to give the baby Calpol? Or what do I do? Sometimes you find yourself in those situations. But I think that is why we are women, because I think we have been given the capability to multitask, think about 1,000 things and plan different things at the same time, give orders there, give orders. And at the end of the day, 5 minutes, you have managed so much. And things are learning. The home is learning. The kids are in school. The teacher is happy. Your boss is happy. Or your juniors have instructions of what you need or what they need to do, and business is running. So I think for me, that is the strength that we have to capitalize on. We have chosen to turn the challenges into opportunities. We have chosen not to see and understand the challenge, and somehow find a way innovatively to turn that challenge into an opportunity. And we believe from what we have seen already on the ground that it can be done. It can be done. We are now encouraging our customers to look at the market in DRC very seriously. Already we've allowed or facilitated them to close deals worth $3 billion USD. And what is exciting also is that even when we did a mission in collaboration with the government, more than 50% of the participants were women in businesses, even women professionals, technology, whatever. They're asking, okay, so how can I start my side hustle in the DRC? So people are beginning to see that opportunity, and I'm so happy that we've been able to see, to start understanding that there are more opportunities than challenges in our space. And what is important is that we are very well positioned to take advantage of that. So for me, I would just say that it was a big honor to be recognized, because there are some things that happen and you're like, okay, why is this happening at this time? Is God giving me a message that I need to do more? So I've revamped the Equip program. We had a very lovely celebration during the International Women's Day. We've kicked off the book club. We just led the Leader Without Title and finished about 100 groups of women. We are many in equity. Now we are going to read Lean In by Cheryl. So that's our next book. And the idea is, because we did a survey and noticed that in the bank, for those who understand the bank structure, women come up to the operational manager level. The next level is the branch manager. If you go to a meeting of operations managers in equity today, it is 50-50 or even more, sometimes maybe 60%. Now, if you go to the branch manager position in the same bank, it's about 10% women. And we had to make an inquiry. Why is it that women are not getting to that next level? And we got a lot of issues. We got, oh, you know, I don't want to become a manager because I have to take the KPIs myself now. I have to become responsible for them. I don't feel I can manage the pressure. I will probably be sent to Mandera branch if I get a promotion. So those are the kind of issues, and they gave us very good feedback. And we said we must get a way of dealing with these challenges, and more importantly, raising the confidence levels of our women to take leadership positions. I'm sure now that we are at a COVID comfortable level, we are going to have more opportunities to meet and engage and exchange ideas so that we can build each other and exchange the knowledge, because collectively here we have a lot of knowledge. So it's for us to uplift each other and to support each other, because each of us has their own distinctive knowledge, experience, and advantage that nobody else has. And God has given us those gifts. As women.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Mary Wamai. What a wonderful message that she shared with us regarding what she's been able to do since she became an Angaza awardee, and how it has helped challenged her to look internally and see how she can support women within the bank, and then also support Equity's business clients, especially women business clients who are looking to expand their businesses outside of their country's borders. You heard her talking about the DRC, and the bank has had a wonderful initiative to support business owners to expand continentally. And she mentioned such a powerful thing. She said that we have challenges as women in the financial sector, but we need to turn those challenges innovatively into opportunities. And definitely, this is really what we're trying to celebrate here at Angaza Awards. The amazing women like Mary and Lena, who have been doing a lot for the institutions and for the economy and society, but we're just not hearing about them. At this point, we'd like to switch over to the judges' report. We've had a fantastic panel of judges that helped us select the 2022 awardees, and we'd like to just recognize the judges for their time. We want to welcome and thank Ms. Yawa Hansen Kwao. She's with the Emerging Public Leaders in Ghana. Ms. Catherine Musakali with Women on Boards Network Kenya. Ms. Mutumboi Mundia, she's the Director of Market Supervision and Development at the Zambia Securities and Exchange Commission. Mr. Maxwell Pirikisi, Director of the South Africa Chamber of Commerce and the most immediate past President of the South Africa-Nigeria Business Chamber of Commerce. Ms. Jonita Lunkuse Jagwe, expert on finance within the Office of the Prime Minister's Delivery Unit in Uganda. Ms. Jonita was a 2021 awardee. Ms. Hedwige Nuyens, she's the Managing Director of International Banking Federation, which is the apex body of bankers associations in the world. Ms. Esohe Denise Odaro, she's with the International Finance Corporation. She's the Head of Investor Relations and Sustainability and has been a chief advocate for ESG-aligned investment within the IFC across Africa and the world. Mr. Luke Ombara, Director of Regulatory Policy and Strategy at the Capital Markets Authority, Kenya. At this point, allow me to welcome Mr. Maxwell Pirikisi to turn on his camera, unmute his line, and just share with us the judges' report. Thank you and welcome, Mr. Pirikisi.
Thank you so much, Nuru, and thank you to all the colleagues. Thanks to all the participants who, in our view as judges, were all really winners by virtue of their submissions. And a special congratulations, of course, to the proud winner at the end of the day. Now, most importantly, much gratitude goes to our esteemed speakers for the day and everyone else on this call, not forgetting our wonderful judges, of course, of which, who they gave freely their time, most valuable to this process. And so to start us off, we received, dozens of entries for this year's Angaza Awards, which was quite phenomenal. And they came through via the Angaza Awards website. You know, 30 entries were shortlisted for assessment by the Secretariat, and you know, which, as I said earlier, comprised the judging panel. It was not, as you can imagine, it was not an easy process, and the entries were quite fantastic in their presentations. We received these coming from different countries. So this is really Pan-African, which is a great thing. And it's good to see the Angaza Awards growing to become, you know, more and more continental, and hopefully at some stage they'll become a global award. We got entries from Ivory Coast, from Kenya, from Mauritius, from Nigeria, from Rwanda, South Africa, Uganda, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. And the age range for applicants was between 25 and 52. So, you know, which simply shows that you can never be too young or too old to enter these awards. You know, 25 to 52, you can participate, you can get in there and get recognized. And the entrants were coming from sectors such as development, finance, banking, insurance, the fintech sector, capital markets, microfinance, and of course, we had some entries also coming in from the public sector in terms of government institutions. And the judging panel held a pre-assessment virtual conference to review the scoring criteria and, of course, to agree on the judging process itself. And the entries were assessed during the months of November and December 2021. So big ups to all our judges, you know, for sacrificing some of their December holiday time and family time to devote to this process. And the judges really, you know, took their time to go through the scoring, you know, of each entrant, and in the final analysis, a top 10 list was arrived at by virtue of using a point system. And these top 10 winners were announced in January earlier this year. Now, key to the assessment process is really the fact that the judges rated very highly entries that demonstrated the applicant's contribution to their firm or organization's performance. And, you know, the regional scope itself as well was quite important when we looked at it. Now, and so this is really for those that are on the scope, perhaps considering to enter the awards, the next awards, that you should take note of these things that we highlight, that they are required, they are necessary, and they'll give you higher points. Organizational performance itself really included the applicant's individual contribution to the firm or the organization's overall performance itself. In other words, we also looked at both the financial and non-financial indicators such as revenue generation itself and operational efficiencies, ethics and governance. Those are strong points that we were looking at. And a strong individual profile and evidence of socioeconomic impact was really the game changer. It's important because we want to know, we want to see beyond the numbers what the entrant is actually doing to impact their community and their society. So that's quite important if you should consider to enter the next awards. And as the judging panel, and again, this is for the next awards and hopefuls, as much as it is feedback for this year's participants, we noted that several entrants were actually disqualified due to the lack of sufficient information and measurable indicators pertaining to their role, their specific role and area of responsibility, and, as I said earlier on, the impact that their contribution will have had. So once again, it's quite important. We want to see, we want to know, you're going to be able to demonstrate what has been your impact and your contribution to the organization's success. Now, in addition, there were also cases where entrants submitted quite some dated and old information as part of their submissions coming from many years ago. Now, we do advise, and this is from us as judges, we do advise that in fact, all entrants should try and focus on about 3 years, not more than 3 years going back, you know, otherwise it becomes too dated. So we are looking for current information. And of course, you do highlight some historical milestones, but not to make the entire submission comprised of historical facts or historical data. We want to see the current information as well in there, and that's quite important. And just to close this report, I'll reiterate that the entrants who did not score well actually failed to attribute their direct involvement. As I've said, it's quite important, and all of us as judges feel we should reiterate this point that, you really need to attribute your direct involvement. We want to see it in your projects and in your business, in what your business has achieved. And you need to be able to provide very clear, succinct and quantifiable indicators of your impact at the organizational level and at an industry level. So it is important that therefore individual input in the success of the organization is visible, can be seen, can be tested. And with that said, we do really appreciate, and we must thank everybody who entered. And I wish you all of the very best for the rest of the proceedings. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Maxwell Pirikisi. And on behalf of all the judges and the Secretariat, we appreciate your time to share this judges report. Now we'd like to receive a quick message from one of our sponsors. And this is a sponsor who is new to really engaging and promoting their work on their continent. They do amazing work in terms of really connecting people and connecting people across boundaries and borders. Remitly, here's your message. We thank Remitly, which is an international global remittance and payments platform and service provider. We thank them very much. At this point, we would like to just note that we were expecting to really celebrate the awards today with Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Unfortunately, we will not have her with us today. Madam Sirleaf, I'm sure as some of you have seen on her social media, a few weeks ago had a very successful procedure. She right now is recuperating. She's been following this event. She's been tweeting. I'm sure you've seen some messages, a few messages from her and her team, especially this morning. So we really want to thank her for being with us, cheering us on from the sidelines. And we want to welcome Dr. Ophelia Inez Weeks. Dr. Weeks is the Executive Director and Board Secretary of the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf Presidential Center for Women and Development. The center focuses on programming, library, archives, and exhibits, and research and communications aimed at developing and supporting African women in leadership roles. Dr. Weeks, in addition to leading the center, she helps implement the center's mission and vision by overseeing the administration, the programs, and strategic plan. Dr. Weeks completed her Bachelor's of Science in Microbiology at McGill University. So she has a PhD in neuroanatomy. Sorry, I even said it wrong because I was just so overwhelmed with the credentials at Howard University. And she has a postdoctoral fellowship at Emory University. Highly educated woman. Prior to joining the center, she was the president of the University of Liberia. So you can see that we are amongst distinguished speakers. And we thank the Ellen Johnson Center for really supporting us. We thank Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf for really supporting the goal and the vision of Angaza Awards, which really, I think, aligns very well with the center. In addition to her role, Dr. Weeks is an independent board director of Guarantee Trust Bank. Guarantee Trust is one of the bigger banks in West Africa, and she's their board director in their Liberia operations. She also serves as a board member of the TWG Incorporated and on the International Advisory Panel and TAG's steering committee. So, Dr. Weeks, we see you with the Amuje background. We know you're joining us from Monrovia. Is it Monrovia?
Monrovia, that's exactly correct.
I'm loving the continent behind you.
Okay, thank you. It's the logo for the EJS Center. Thank you.
Wonderful. Over to you, Madam Dr. Weeks.
Thank you, Nuru. And thank you for inviting me. And it's a pleasure for me to be here. Let me start off by saying to the founders and sponsors of the Angaza Awards, thank you. Thank you for recognizing African women's invaluable contribution to global growth. In acknowledging these women to watch, you motivate them, their peers, and those in the pipeline behind them to keep spreading the flames of women's financial force. It's pretty obvious to me that the winners of this year's Angaza Awards have really pushed forward Africa's financial sector development, finding new ways to manage risk and generate return while raising up other women to share in the gains of Africa's economic progress. Congratulations, Angaza women. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your courage and for your perseverance. In this fast-changing global economy, some things move slow, very slowly. Chief among them is increasing the inclusion of women into decision-making circles and into financial systems that determine our collective fate. By your presence and performance in these spaces, you're creating traction beyond the numbers on your income statements and on your balance sheets. Let me challenge you to be ever more fearless and strategic to bet on women. Bet on women by creating innovative pathways to formalize women's wealth creation. We African women are busy and connected. We are enterprising and ambitious. But so many make their strides on the outskirts of the continent's financial systems, on the dusty roads and the rainy roads of border towns where trade falls far below the radar of any bank's balance sheet. Far fewer register in the statistical research of our domestic, regional, and continental institutions that are established to monitor economic activity. Who can tell us the volume and value of informal trade or measure the outsized impact of women's economic weight in that sector? This dearth of data creates a blind spot in our financial and policy-making views. And it blocks a treasure trove of female activity that could yield high returns on investment in the context of our African Continental Free Trade Agreement. So I challenge you first to bet big on women, beginning with investments in data analytics that track cross-border trade. Then adapt your investment strategies to meet women's needs and maximize women's economic impact. Invest further in programs that open avenues for female talent to flourish. Yes, it's true that women need access to finance to grow their businesses, but finance needs access to women to breach its current growth limits. Beyond finance, how many other industries are robbed of female creativity and insight simply because we've been socialized to see them as unfeminine? Build the pipeline of women and girls in the arts and sciences, not just through scholarships, but multidisciplinary mentorships and content development that compel them to take a second look, to look again at the pathways and the dreams that scare them. In doing so, you will give your capital a new destination that just might revolutionize Africa as we know it. Also keep in mind that there are still women who discard financial competency as a man's prerogative. Many of our educated and accomplished sisters and daughters still shirk the thought of making money moves. So whether through corporate social responsibility initiatives or in your own personal civil society networks and partnerships, invest in initiatives that shift mindsets. Our cultures may be diverse, but they have their firm grounding in Africanity. We need investments, not just in brief campaigns that crack the outer layers of self-doubt and twisted concepts of femininity, but in sustained and strategic relearning of the desire and courage to know money and wield its power, both for personal and societal good. Still, we cannot forget the men and the boys and the religious and social structures that men dominate. So invest also in making sure that there's a deep understanding that they stand to gain much and lose nothing from women's prosperity. The evidence of women's wealth potential exists in abundance. Ask any microfinance entity who their target demographic is, and they'll say women. We are trusted the most because we return on time with principal and interest. We're trusted to build communal capital and institutions structure their business models around our cultures of shared integrity. Whole securitization schemes hinge on that one surety that women will deliver value for investors because we tend to be more conscientious. And yet, our heads are all too familiar with lending ceilings that are irrationally correlated with our chromosomes. The only way to crack that wall is smart strategy to make the rules and then play by them. Set sound parameters for return that optimize the patience of capital based on industry needs, especially in agriculture. Measure absorptive capacity for capital and scalability based on industries that competently account for our national and regional contexts. Help women win with an innovative approach to investment metrics that defend rather than defeat African women in the global marketplace. As the world seeks to define environmental, social, and governance investment to suit its own concepts of development, empowerment, and growth, we must lead that conversation. We must lay down for ourselves and for others the targets and guideposts for real, measurable, and sustainable impact, especially ones that affect African women. Where across the globe can you not find African women? We're everywhere, doing everything. And yet we exist on the margins of industries and societies because our gender and hue classify us as credit risks with limited consideration. We who carry worlds on our shoulders, from mortgages to business loans, our interest rates are high and climbing higher, simply because we chose to appear at a loan office with the audacity to be ambitious. And yet there are those of us with means in the millions and billions who have thirst and very little to quench it on. You Angaza women, and many of you in the audience today, are where these roads meet. I challenge you to broaden your networks and understanding of their financial weight. Then bring value through investment and growth opportunities that meet women's needs and abilities. What's the point of playing it small and waiting for an invisible hand to determine resource allocation when we have the ability to steer it for ourselves? Our global socioeconomic and cultural impact make African women worth the weight of your investments. Now, you must reinvent the wheels that will drive us forward. And I charge you to do so courageously, knowing that we will develop the indisputable performance that turns the banking herd bullish for African women. Thank you.
What a powerful message from Dr. Weeks. What a powerful message. This is how you clap in Kenyan Sign Language. Maybe we can give her a thumbs up or just really a clap for that wonderful message. Thank you so much, Dr. Weeks. You said we need to bet big on women in Africa, and women in the financial sector needs to remember, we need to remember those women on those dusty roads, right? And also those women in our office hallways. So from the dusty roads to the hallways, we need to bet big on women. Thank you, Dr. Weeks, for a wonderful message from yourself and Madam Sirleaf. Please, we pass her our love and our prayers for her strong recovery. We're waiting to get that video message from her just to celebrate the Angaza awardees. I can see so many people posting on the chat. Thank you so much. And indeed, we shouldn't wait for that invisible hand to allocate resources, right? We need to guide that hand as women in finance. So thank you so much for your time. At this time, I would like to introduce us to our next speaker. And our next speaker, I hope we're feeling, well, I hope we're feeling the fire. I hope we're feeling excited by the program, the messages we've been hearing from our various speakers, and most recently, Dr. Weeks. We now want to welcome Ambassador Fatima Kayari Mohammed. Madam Ambassador, please, if you could turn on your camera and turn on your microphone. We're so excited to hear from you, and allow me to just quickly introduce you to the audience. I'm sure that some of us might not be familiar with your work. Ambassador Fatima is the permanent observer to the AU, permanent observer of the AU to the United Nations. Her mandate is to represent the AU at the UN, as well as develop and maintain constructive and productive relationships between the AU member states. Prior to her appointment, she was a senior special advisor to the ECOWAS Commission that covers West Africa. Her career spans over 2 decades with a focus on peace, security, socio-economic development, regional integration, organizational development, and project management. Madam Fatima, I'm sure you've heard the wonderful message from Dr. Weeks and Madam Ellen Sirleaf. It's about the women on the dusty roads, isn't it? And we really need to uplift women in Africa, especially through the financial sector. So we welcome you, Madam Ambassador, to share your remarks. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nuru. And I must say how inspired I am. I joined from the beginning, and it's just been amazing listening to all the speakers this morning. So let me start by saying good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are, and really for thanking the Angaza Awards, and in particular you, Nuru, as the awards chairperson, for inviting me, and I must truly congratulate you for this amazing initiative. I think any opportunity to recognize, to celebrate, and acknowledge those that are making a difference in our society, but more especially to shine a light on women and their contributions in not only what they do, but also I mean, it is commendable, but I think it's also necessary, because more often than not, the contribution of women across the board remains in the shadows of our male counterparts, and being able to be such, having these opportunities and being able to be a part of such an initiative is certainly an honor and a pleasure for me. I'd like to also, of course, take this opportunity to congratulate the 10 phenomenal women who were shortlisted. I wish you every success and encouragement as you continue to lead in your various realms. Of course, you're all already winners, and I'd like to just thank you for your contributions towards building better societies for Africans, and for paving the way for the next generation of young African women leaders who will hopefully find the road that you have traveled a little less bumpy as they embark on their own careers. It's also particularly important for me to say this because we all know that it is twice as challenging and thrice as demanding for women, and particularly African women and women of color. We have a number of hurdles and challenges in achieving our life and career goals. It's particularly more arduous for us to climb the ladder of success, and being able to have come this far is definitely something that commands recognition and respect. So congratulations to all of you once again. Now, this morning, I have been asked to speak on the topic, how women in finance can unlock Africa's sustainable economic development, and with a particular focus on climate change. And I'm particularly grateful for the opportunity to share some reflections with you. And I hope that my comments today will also provide some food for thought, maybe trigger some interesting debate, and perhaps maybe impact some knowledge. So let me start by saying that there is bad news and there's good news. Across the continent, we face many challenges, but at the same time, we're a region of immense opportunity. The challenges, many of which we know, but also there are opportunities, and there's huge potential which can be leveraged on and further explored. And of course, amongst these challenges is the issue of climate change and all the various issues related to that. Our continent faces environmental and climate-related challenges, which are characterized by the shift in weather patterns, extreme seasonal variability of rainfall in many parts of the continent. And this is having an adverse effect on human life, on our natural ecosystems, and other dire environmental, social, and economic impacts in various regions and on our populations. More dire, I think, is the fact that Africa, and it's important that you listen to this, Africa accounts for 18% of the world's population, but less than 4% of global greenhouse gas emissions. So it is scary when you think about the fact that we are probably the most heavily impacted by climate change, but contribute next to nothing in terms of greenhouse gas emissions. And some of our countries spend an average of 5% of their unplanned budgets to respond to extreme weather events. While we continue to demonstrate as much as we can a strong commitment on leadership on climate action, we have to also recognize the fact that these changes significantly exacerbate vulnerabilities and also weaken the resilience, especially of agriculture-dependent communities, which is the majority of our population, including female-headed households and especially communities that are completely dependent on agriculture for sustenance. And of course, with the current world context and the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the conflict in Europe, we're already feeling the impact of already fragile situations in many parts of Africa. For those of you who followed the news in the last couple of days, you can see what's happening in the Horn of Africa and communities that are on the borderline of starvation. Images that we've been seeing decades ago are coming back. I mean, it is a nightmare if you think about it. In addition to those challenges, women in general, as you know, face gender biases in legal and macroeconomic frameworks, as well as the limitations that we have in human, social, and financial assets. And then, of course, there's the fact that there are cultural and social norms that are often not supportive of women's involvement in business. And many inspiring female entrepreneurs lack access to supportive networks and mentors, as well as the negotiating power within their households and local communities. And there is also a huge financial gap. According to UNDP, there's an estimated $42 billion for African women across business value chains. But the gap in agriculture alone is $15.6 billion. And African economies will continue to suffer if we cannot empower African women entrepreneurs and involve them at all levels of the supply chain. So that's the bad news. But as I said in the beginning, there's also good news. And I believe that our opportunities far outweigh the challenges that we have. Africa has a huge potential within the global economy. And of course, women play a huge role in terms of economic development and enhancing the continent's comparative advantage, although that is not recognized. So in the broader sense, in terms of climate issues, first, I must underline the importance of adaptation financing. I think more and more our institutions are recognizing this. And with COP27 coming up this year, I think it presents us with an opportunity to reset. I just came back from the Stockholm +50 meeting on climate, and the discussion around that, you could hear that the discussions were changing in terms of recognition, especially of the top 20, for lack of a better word, perpetrators, and in terms of responsibility, especially towards countries and supporting them in terms of adaptation financing. Secondly, we also need to recognize that the forests, the mangroves and the swamps and our coral reefs, and as well as our maritime reserves, are carbon sinks in Africa, which is actually saving the planet. Many people don't know this and they don't even recognize this. And in this vein, carbon credits are something that we could use and should be explored as an opportunity for climate finance flows to the continent. And third is the issue of energy disparity, which we have to recognize. But there is a lot of focus now in terms of focusing on infrastructure, ensuring that we have a stable base in order for us to add on renewable energy. And one of the things that we have to push more is towards major investments, which are required in terms of infrastructure for us to move towards renewable energy. And this is a conversation that is being had more and more, and has to be a way in terms of moving forward. Now, in terms of the role of women, for generations, women have crossed borders in terms of trading in food, textile, crafts, manufactured goods. minerals. Women traders are often obviously faced with a number of barriers, but the informal sector is something that is thriving. What we need to do is ensure that we get them into the formal sector and ensure that they have more access to financial services. In addition, women's activities on the continent have become more organized, and there's more of a shift in terms of formalization, an increase of number of women entrepreneurs in a number of areas that were traditionally left for men, such as tourism, aviation, IT, manufacturing, etc. So it is critical that we promote the visibility of women's activities and also access to market opportunities in order for us to ensure that we facilitate the integration of women entrepreneurs in our supply chains. And multinational companies and big businesses have to recognize this and need to do more to educate and integrate African women in these global supply chains. And they should be encouraged to support women-owned businesses so that they can be involved in, for example, sourcing activities, capacity development, training, mentorship, coaching, etc. And the private sector can also advocate governments in order to remove some of the barriers in terms of policies or laws that restrict women's access to finance, but also in terms of, for example, land ownership, and ensure that funds are actually channeled towards programs that support women's education, especially in entrepreneurship. And a lot can be done. I heard the previous speaker mention, CSR and other best practices that can be leveraged on to ensure that there is gender equality for workers and other women that are engaged in the value chain. We also, I think, need to look at how we can learn lessons and replicate some of the successful models and programs that have been adopted by a number of African member states in order to ensure that, first of all, there are policies that are solid, that are working, that we can replicate, but also to ensure that there's some sort of a quota system so that more women can have access to, just contracting and ensuring that they remain within the realm and have equal opportunities as their male counterparts. So in terms of securing business contracts, supply contracts, procurement policies that targets women-owned businesses and so on and so forth. In terms of some concrete examples that I can give, particularly from the financial sector and how they specifically target women. One model example that I can give you, and that could be promoted or replicated, is one that the African Development Bank has launched, which is the Affirmative Finance Action for Women in Africa, AFAWA. And this is an initiative of $42 billion. It's a Pan-African initiative. And the model adopts an integrated approach on 3 pillars, which is finance, technical assistance, and providing an enabling environment to bridge the gap in terms of lending to women and investing in scalable businesses to leverage the power of gender diversity. And lastly, of course, is in terms of scaling up private equity funds that drive growth, particularly for African SMEs, and leveraging on gender balanced businesses to generate high financial returns and social impact. Now, I'm trying to move on very quickly. I'm conscious of the time, but it is important for me to mention perhaps a few initiatives from the African Union side. They pay my salary. I must promote this. No, but on a serious note, it is important to recognize what our continental institution is actually doing in terms of supporting some of these initiatives. So first of all, in terms of legal instruments, we have a number of protocols, initiatives, and programs that aim to economically empower women and address some of the challenges and the gaps. And in terms of parity itself, this is enshrined within our Constitutive Act. And we are obliged on paper, and now it is actually being implemented, where you can actually see parity within the AU Commission, for example, at the highest level, to empower women's rights. We've adopted the protocol to the Charter on Human and People's Rights and the Rights of Women in Africa, and also the Solemn Declaration on Gender Equality in Africa, which is known as the AU Gender Policy. 2020 to 2030 has also been declared as a decade for financial and economic inclusion for African women. And this declaration, which was recommitted, I would say, because the previous 10 years was also declared as a decade for financial inclusion for African women, is focused on scaling up actions for progressive gender inclusion towards sustainable development at national, regional, and continental levels. And I must say that we do have the frameworks and the policies in place. What we lack really is the implementation. And if we want to really achieve the goals that are set for us for this decade, we need to ensure that these policies are actually implemented. And this requires a collective action from all of us, financial institutions, individuals, and ensuring that we adopt some of these policies, implement them, and actually monitor their implementation. Another important initiative is the AU Fund for African Women, which was launched in 2010. And this fund aims to mobilize resources for programs and projects dedicated to African Women's Decade, the Women's Decade themes. And 2 years ago, in 2020, a decision was made to convert this into a trust fund, which will continue to provide women with solutions to access financing for their businesses and become more economically empowered. The fund also intends to support women fund managers, as well as direct support for women entrepreneurs to ascend to business and economic leadership positions. The next point I'd like to make very briefly is to touch on the African Continental Free Trade Area. Earlier I had spoken about opportunities, and one of the major windows of opportunity is, of course, the full operationalization of the African Continental Free Trade Area, which has the potential to create an integrated and competitive market for our population of 1.3 billion and an estimated aggregated GDP of about 3.4 trillion. So the CFTA, for those of you who have been following, aims to reduce transaction costs, increase profits, enable the informal sector of women traders to operate through formal channels, and of course eliminate some of the barriers that I mentioned earlier, such as gender-based discrimination, and of course provide safe working environments and productive environments for our women. Once it's fully operational, the CFTA will be instrumental in terms of unleashing this powerful force, I would say, for women entrepreneurs across the continent and across the board. In addition, I think we have a growing manufacturing sector, and this will also provide new job opportunities, especially for women and youth. In terms of the, I think the key element of this initiative is really the development of regional values, which will promote intra-African trade in both the intermediate and manufactured goods area, and also the development of regional value chains, which will also help us in terms of developing our agro-processing and of course minerals and other areas such as pharmaceuticals and energy resources. And of course, we need to build on many of the partnerships that we have across the globe with our different multilateral partners. Then last but not the least, I'd like to come to the point of the African diaspora and how they can be a strategic lever in terms of supporting women and youth-owned enterprises. Let me say here that the diaspora have and continue to make a significant impact in African economies through partnerships, remittances, and investments. And a recent study has shown that remittances flowing to middle and low-income countries from the diaspora have accounted for $550 billion. And this amount exceeds the inflows from foreign direct investment and ODA. So our diaspora communities can play a major role in terms of achieving our development goals, Agenda 2030 and Agenda 2063. And I think we need to find a way of engaging them and integrating their efforts into more into our national development initiatives. And this can be done through constant engagement between the continent and the African diaspora in terms of galvanizing convergence of a will that allows us to consolidate some of the priorities and strengthening our ties with our brothers and sisters in the diaspora and of African descent across the globe. And I think with technology and accessibility of information, the younger generation in particular have a huge potential for exchange and maintaining connections with the continent more than ever. And as women, I think we should also leverage on existing platforms and networks that exist, but also ensure that we also create opportunities and strengthen ties with our sisters in the diaspora. And lastly, in terms of connecting our institutions of higher learning, education is key, and I think the institutions of higher learning can also play a key role in strengthening these ties and be an excellent conduit for exchange of knowledge, culture, and experiences. So I know I've been a bit long. I would, but I just felt, these points were important for me to elaborate on. And I would just like to conclude with, a few points in terms of expectations, I think, for our awardees, and perhaps some advice. So, sisters, let me just say this. I think for women to be economically empowered, it will take collective and continuous efforts by all of us, women and men alike. And we have to ensure, I've said this before, but we do need to we do need to focus on ensuring that we have the right policies in place and that they are actually implemented and that there is a level of accountability. And this can only happen if we continue to monitor what's happening on the continent. We already know that we are active economic participants on the continent. We contribute a lot. Our contributions are not recognized enough. They're not rewarded enough, and they're not encouraged enough. And investments in economic empowerment should be able to give women the resources, the opportunities, the protections, the skills that they need to achieve their full potential and decide what it is that they want to do with their lives. And so your responsibility will be to use your various platforms and opportunities to create opportunities for other women, especially those that are coming up behind you. As we stand on the shoulders of great women who have paved the path for us, I think we owe it to them to reach out and pull up our sisters who are coming up behind us. And I truly believe in this. And that's why I always try to promote the concept of mentoring. I think this is key. Mentoring allows us to support, to build, and to give back to our sisters. And it also allows us to build a critical mass of empowered women and build networks and contacts that provide opportunities for others. I could go on to give you a number of examples of what we are doing to do this. Recently, we've launched what we call the Young Women's Mentoring Initiative, where we bring in young women early in their careers and match them with senior women in terms of having conversations in terms of their career and some of the challenges that they may be facing. And I would like to encourage you to look at some of these existing initiatives and build on them. We must reflect and revisit some of our priorities and reimagine a future, and a future that allows us to think clearly on how we can reinvest some of the resources that we have to ensure that we're building human and institutional capacities to achieve the kind of resilient, inclusive, and sustainable future that we want for ourselves in Africa, for our people, and indeed for a world that is more strategic and allows us to change the narrative about Africa, because Africa is not a continent about sorrow and poverty and disease and destruction. It is a continent of opportunities. And I sincerely hope that you will take these opportunities in the spirit of Angaza to continue to give light, to illuminate, and to shine. So I wish you all well, and I thank you sincerely for this opportunity and for your attention. Thank you.
Wow, Madam Fatima, Ambassador Fatima, thank you so much for challenging us. We're clapping. I can see the ladies are clapping with sign language. This is how you clap with sign language. Thank you so much for that wonderful message. You've given us a really broad view from your office at the AU, and you've talked really about, and it really feeds from the dusty roads that we started walking on with Dr. Weeks, and you've helped us see where we're going, where the future is for Africa, and the fact that we must pull our sisters along, especially the women, especially the 10 women that we're recognizing and spotlighting today. We must pull our women along, either from an investment perspective, insurance, capital markets, innovations. How do we make sure that women are front and center? And you both our keynote speakers today have really talked about the radical. We need to be radical, and we need to do things differently and innovatively, so we can not only feed ourselves, not only be energy secure, but really so we can thrive as a continent. So thank you so much, Ambassador Fatima. I see wonderful messages on the chat. You talked about a few programs like the fund that the AU has. So I'll get in touch with your office so we can get more details and send the details to all the attendees so they can see the wonderful work that the AU is doing on behalf of the continent. So thank you so much, Madam Fatima. At this point, we would like to launch a very quick poll. that's going to end in a few seconds. We want to see, I know a number of you are here to support your Angaza awardee. So feel free to vote very quickly for the people that you're here to give a shout out to, because the next thing we're getting ready to do is really just celebrate the top 10. So I ask the ladies to please turn on your cameras so people can see you, see that you exist. I know we're going to be posting your bios shortly in the chat as well. So we can see the votes are coming in, the votes are coming in. We recently did a People's Choice celebration, and we're going to announce who the winner is from the People's Choice celebration that we did. So looking at the poll, we can see, okay, we're seeing you're still voting here. Thank you so much, Christine. You have folks here to support you. Gaki, you've got your friends here, Jacqueline, Marjorie, Dr. Omukaga, Jerry, Rina, you have your folks here. Ms. Sharon, you have your folks here. So congratulations, that's wonderful. Thank you all for coming to really support your Angaza awardee. Of course, we know we are all here to support all women in general in finance. The Angaza Awards just recognizes a few of them. Of course, we know there are too many to count, but the whole idea is how do we start, as Ms. Mary Wamaya mentioned at the beginning of the program, how do we continue to build a pipeline of credible role models in the financial sector that care about some of the key issues and insights that we've heard Dr. Weeks and Ambassador Fatima Mohammed speak about. So we want to recognize the People's Choice awardee. We're going to do a drum roll. Hopefully, you can hear my drum roll. You know, sometimes when you share your screen with the excitement, you're just so excited that you forget to share with the audio. So hopefully you'll be able to see and hear the drum roll. Here we go. We're going to do a drum roll and then we're going to recognize the People's Choice awardee. All right, that was our drum roll. And the People's Choice awardee is Zeri Jomo. So what we decided, and Marita on the Secretariat came up with a wonderful idea. As much as we have very serious judges, Maxwell and the team and the panel judging based on a very stringent and tough criteria, maybe there's some people within the top 10 that some folks really feel passionate about. And Ms. Njeri, you are the one that people feel very passionate about. We received 1,718 votes over the course of 2.5 weeks. And Ms. Njeri Jomo, who's the general manager of retail business at Britam Holdings, which is an insurance company, she got 683 votes. So Njeri, congratulations, hongera sana. At this point, I don't know, actually, Njeri, do you want to say hello, a quick hello to your people?
Wow, thank you. What to say? Thank you so much. 600 is a lot. I mean, so politically, I should be running for office.
You should be running for office.
But thank you so much to everyone who took the time to, to put in a vote. I mean, 10 phenomenal women. I mean, all winners, and to just take your time to vote. Thank you. I really, really, truly appreciate. Thank you very much.
And it's really about sisters supporting sisters, right? So thank you to the ladies who voted for Ms. Njeri and everybody else and your He for She champions. I know you had a lot of He for She champions. So for this award and recognition, really the People's Choice recognition, will be sharing with you a gift card of $100. You'll be able to treat yourself, sister, and just well done and congratulations. At this point, we would like to recognize the top 10 list for 2022. We're asking the ladies, please turn on your cameras, maybe dance a little bit. We're very excited to recognize you. We're going to go through all the names. In the chat, I'm going to ask my colleague to please post the bios so you can see their bios. And the top 10 winners are Ms. Marjorie Mayida. first place. Rena Hicks, second place. Rahel Musyoki, third place. Gaki Mwongera, fourth place. Sharon Kinyanjui, fifth place. Christine Baingana, sixth place. Venus Hampinda, seventh place. Millicent Omukaga, eighth place. Jerry Njomo, ninth place. And Jacqueline Karasha, 10th place. Ladies, please turn on your cameras and let's see you. And I'm going to go quickly, very quickly, and ask you, Christine, can we start with you, my dear? Congratulations. Sorry, my dear, we can't hear you.
Thank you.
So, oh, there we go. Go on.
It's an honor to be recognized. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, thank you so much for the honor of being selected. And the biggest challenge that I have in my heart is from the speeches that we had today. The challenge, the global challenge that we have as women, and mentoring that we need to get involved in, and the financial inclusion that should empower women economically. So I've been looking forward to learning from those who are ahead of us and each one of you that is here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Christine, and congratulations. And I know you're joining us from Rwanda. Ms. Jacqueline Karasha, welcome. Congratulations. Maybe you can say a very quick hello.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon. It's an honor to be in the presence of wonderful, wonderful ladies. Thank you, Nuru, and the entire Secretariat for this platform. It really does just, as I start here listening to the speeches from the keynote speakers, it really is humbling, yet very challenging to understand that we have so much more that we need to do, yet we have come from so far. And thank you for creating a platform where we can pause and celebrate and, laugh and say well done to ourselves, and then prepare ourselves for the next mountains that we have to climb and conquer. And to every other lady, all the participants that have delved in, we are one big community, and as women, really African women, we really are the next people to look out for. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Rahel Musyoki.
Thank you, Nuru. Thank you. And it's really, really humbling to be among these ladies. Congratulations to all the ladies. So let me just talk about what I felt when I received the award. It was obviously a surprise. When you apply to such things, most of the time, either you fall short or something happens and you don't receive the award. So receiving this award was really, really humbling and honoring. And some of the ladies who are part of this, have received this award are some of the ladies I aspire to be. So being among them as one of the awardees is obviously very humbling and very honoring. And thank you so much, Nuru, for creating this opportunity for women to be seen. And as one of the speakers mentioned, that as a lady, as an African woman, Black African woman, you have to work twice as hard to even be recognized or seen. So thank you, Nuru, for creating this platform. I really appreciate it. And I'm obviously looking forward to bringing other women with me and to obviously create opportunities for them to also be seen and recognized. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. At least amplify 10 women, at least. That's your challenge. Dr. Omugaga, congratulations. Welcome. Just a quick hello, please.
Thank you, Madam Nuru, and thank you, Angaza team, for this outstanding recognition. I deeply feel humbled to be a recipient of a distinguished Angaza Award. I can say that when I started my banking career in the 90s at the KCB Group, even being a woman manager in the bank was news, but unfortunately, there was no celebration like we have today. It was all, let's wait and see. So for me to excel in the banking profession as a senior executive in both public and private sector financial institutions in these tough economies of Africa, I think is worth celebrating. So thank you, Angaza. But I also allow me to acknowledge some of the great teams and leaders that have made this award possible. As you have seen, it's been for me a long journey of 23 years in banking. So I must mention a few names here, like Madam Susan Mudune, Madam Mary Okello, and the men as well, Lucas Meso, Mwangi Githaiga, Saleh Usman Geshua, Mr. Muya Titus, Martin Lukodoro Tieno. Wherever you are serving humanity, I say a big thank you for shaping my career. Alongside my banking career, Madam Chair, I've also had appointments beyond institutional boundaries that help to propel my influence. So I want to thank the appointing authorities, the cabinet secretaries, and which these responsibilities fall. And I can mention the National Research Fund that I operationalized successfully. I like my tenure as the Commissioner for University Education and currently as the Chair of Economic Empowerment and Financial Inclusion. So I cannot forget to extend my sincere gratitude to Mr. Omukaga for encouraging me to raise my hand and in making this submission. As you know, sometimes we are shy even to raise our hands, but it's important. So he helped me to raise my hands, and so the wonderful judges could see through the ordinary stuff that I've been able to do in a courageous and extraordinary ways with his support. The last person, and definitely not the least, I want to really acknowledge is my dear mom, Anna, the smartest banker and accountant and treasurer. Your labor, literally, your labor is not in vain. God bless you and my entire family. Now, this is my second time getting the Angaza Award, and it's very special. Very special for me. The first one is hanging on my office wall, but this second one, I would like to dedicate to the young women and men from my village in Busia County, whose admiration of my career and my career path keeps me going. I appreciate all of you for giving me an opportunity to hold your hands. Folks from Busia County. Finally, I'd like to you, the young people in my community, to see that being a woman is not a hurdle, but it's an added advantage. Women can continue to thrive and beat the odds. Together, we keep making a difference. Asanteni sana.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow, that was like an Oscar speech. Thank you so much, Daktari. Congratulations. Ms. Sharon, just very quickly, if you could say hello to, I know you have supporters here in the room, say hello to your people very quickly.
Yes, I just wanted to say a big thank you, first and foremost to you, Nuru, for visualizing and envisioning and creating this platform. Without it, we wouldn't be here today. Thank you to the whole team and support that you have around Angaza, to the keynote speakers. It was super, super inspiring. I think one of the key messages I got today was bet big on women. And I think that's one of the key things that I'll be, taking forward. And I'd like to thank everyone who, has supported me on this journey, including my husband who's on this call, and all my friends, and all the other women that I'm on this forum with. I'm truly, truly honored to be with you all, and we'll continue to bet big on each other.
Yes, bet big, bet big. Ms. Gaki Mongera, please, a quick hello, very quick, and then we're moving on to some remarks from Ms. Masarame and the panel discussion. So just very quickly, please.
Okay, thank you, Nuru and the team. I really appreciate the opportunity to have been one of the finalists of Angaza. And if you'll allow me, I take this opportunity to, first of all, thank the panel of judges and everybody who brought this together, as we've been told to bet big, especially on women, and creating pathways for ourselves and the people that come after us. I'm also thankful to Equity Bank for the opportunity to serve and create and contribute in the realization of the African success story when it comes to financial inclusion. Finally, I'd really want to appreciate all my colleagues, teammates, some of them who are on call, as well as our customers, and of course, my family. Thank you to Mom, my siblings, and of course, my daddy in heaven. Thank you for everything that you have done to see me get this far. Thank you.
Oh, that's so sweet. That is so, so sweet. Thank you so much, Gaki, for that. We really are standing on shoulders of giants, and we're supported by our families and our friends and our coworkers. So thank you for that. Okay, so Ms. Venus Hampinda. Welcome. Hello. Just say a quick hello. Thank you.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Just wanted to say a huge thank you for this opportunity. This actually creates a greater challenge for me to soar for higher and not just do it on my own, but lift other women along. So congratulations to all the amazing ladies that were part of the top 10 finalists and all the other ladies that are doing great things there. Thank you.
Well done, Venus. You know, actually, I just have to say you're a chief finance officer, but your entry stuck out to me because you're a storyteller and you took us on a journey of what you've been able to do as a CFO at Absa Bank. So well done and congratulations. All right, so we have 3 more ladies. We have Jerry. Jerry, I know you spoke already. Do you want to just say, what do you just wait? You're the people's choice, but very quickly.
I have to say thank you to everyone. Nuru, this Angaza has not been just a recognition, but you've taken us through a journey. It's been literally 4 months where you have really been with us, and thank you so much. To my team from Britam, and I can see a number of you in the audience, thank you so much for rallying behind me. I am so grateful for each and every one of you and for all of us, and has been said over and over again, this recognition is a commitment that we are going deeper and further to grow women, but also to grow the men as well, and to make sure that we continue to grow together. And to my husband, who's also on the call, and my 3 lovely daughters, thank you for always being my support team.
Wonderful, Jerry. Now we know why you came back on board. There's a family stakeholder that you had to say thank you to. Miss Rina, a very quick hello.
Thank you, Nuru. Let me begin by honoring you, Nuru.
Oh, no, please, ladies, we're here to know. Okay. Oh my gosh.
For taking the risk to do this. So thank you. Thank you to the entire team for inspiring us, for lighting that spark, empowering us in so many ways on how to tell our stories and how to continue to stand out and be out there. I commit myself to continue to be more fearless, to empower and inspire others and to mentor others, as we have been asked to do today, and to bet big on women. Thank you to all the people who have supported me, my family, my children, my husband, my parents, my siblings, everybody. I just want to say a big team to the entire team that I work with as well. And congratulations to the wonderful, beautiful women who are also winners. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Rina. Miss Marjorie, last but not least. Actually, first but not last. You are the number 1, but you're not last in our minds. Please go ahead. A quick hello.
Thank you very much, and good day to everyone. It's a great honor to be recognized by the Angaza Awards. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And for me, since the announcement was made in January, it has been a great journey that has empowered me. It's a stepping stone to continue aiming higher and to also pull my sisters along as we go forward with this journey. So thank you very much. And I also want to appreciate Old Mutual for giving me the opportunity to showcase my capabilities. I have grown so much within Old Mutual, and I will continue to contribute as much as I can to the business as well as to the financial services sector in Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Marjorie. At this point, we would like to invite Ms. Masarame Moyume to turn on her camera and turn on her microphone to share with us her remarks on behalf of Old Mutual, one of our key sponsors. Old Mutual has been a key strategic partner for Angaza Awards. Not only do they help fund the cost of the event, but throughout the year, they provide opportunities for the Angaza awardees to showcase themselves at various fora across the continent. So we really thank the Old Mutual team for really embracing the Angaza program. Over to you, Madam Masarame. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction, Nuru. Old Mutual is proud to be associated with the Angaza Awards. We operate across 13 countries in the continent, and we have just over 28,000 employees. We are one of the largest asset managers in the continent and have been entrusted with managing approximately 1.3 trillion rands of our customers' funds. Part of our strategy as Old Mutual is to drive diversity and inclusion as part of our transformation journey. We have improved the representation of women and previously marginalized groups across our organizational structure. And at the moment, we have approximately 61% of all employees being female across the whole Old Mutual group in all the countries where we operate. And 31% of our board at Old Mutual Limited is female. And at our ExCo level, we have 5 dynamic female leaders, including yours truly. But overall, on very senior women for a financial services company, at a leadership level, we have 43% of our top leaders being female. And I'm quoting all these stats to share with the attendees that female representation is something that Old Mutual takes very seriously. And the support of women starts even at university, where we're sponsoring them with bursaries to get into fields like actuarial science and accountancy, where you do not have many African women participating. So this is quite important, and we are committed to continuing to make a difference. We also feel that we are one of Africa's most gender transformed financial services company, and we can still do more. If we could get to board representation at 50%, we'd have done a good job, or even 51%. And we also recognize that whilst significant progress has been made to drive the cause of women in the workplace, we acknowledge that these efforts have not been without some challenges. We are actively supporting young women in getting into the world of business and encouraging those that are working but battling to overcome obstacles through a lot of various initiatives that we have across the group. We believe that the most positive contribution that women in this forum today can do to contribute to creating a supportive and a proper networking system for younger women is for us to make ourselves available. The shared experiences, the advice we give, and mentorships, as all the speakers have said today, is a very important part of us being women. We believe that the Angaza platform positions Old Mutual and our partners at the center of driving women leadership and empowerment. And in our continent, the role that we play as corporates is becoming more important in the difference we can make in the economies, but also largely in societies, and being role models to those that are coming into generations of leaders. And we believe that Angaza Awards recognition of emerging female leaders, as well as seasoned leaders, is helping shape Africa's financial services sector so that we can compete with other continents. We believe that we can continue to inspire others to enter the industry, which is not easy and not that attractive to most women. We would want to encourage younger people to come in and grow to greater heights. And we believe that for Old Mutual, our public recognition of these awards shows our public commitment to being part of change in our society and creating partnerships that last for long with all the sponsors that are represented today. We would not be able to do this on our own as Old Mutual. We recognize that working with others is the right thing to do. And just to close quickly, we wish this year's winners the very best and urge them to continue shining the light for women in Africa so that future generations do the very best they can, but again, with a focus on women who have been largely ignored in business, in government, and also in other leadership positions. So thank you, Nuru, for doing this great work. And we are excited that we'll have another 3rd year, 4th year, and a continuous relationship as we build the Angaza Awards to be the premium awards for women in the continent. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Masarame, and thank you to the family at Old Mutual for the support, and really congratulations. You're leading from within, right? So yes, we give you a hand clap for leading from within, not only looking at your exco level within your business, but also the products you have and how you support the community, including the Old Mutual Partnership Award. So congratulations to yourselves. Thank you so much. At this point, we would like to shift gears and really welcome a wonderful panel discussion. We've heard a lot from our speakers around the role that the financial sector must play on the continent. At this point, I would like to ask Ms. Bella Genga from Bloomberg to turn on her, I saw her camera was on, to turn on her microphone, as well as our panelists, whom Bella will introduce. Over to you, Bella. Thank you.
Thank you, Nuru. It's an absolute pleasure to be part of the celebration of phenomenal women leaders in Africa once again. Thank you, Angaza, for allowing me to be part of this. My name is Bella Genga, a journalist at Bloomberg News, as Nuru said, and it's my pleasure to moderate a conversation with some of the winners, I beg your pardon, today. I'd like to begin with Uni Lubis, who is editor-in-chief of IDN Times, and I'd like to ask Uni, about youth and innovation. Uni, you had one of Indonesia's leading platforms for information with a reach of 70 million millennials and Generation Z. And cultural trends and the pandemic are shaping how consumers interact and transact. From your view, Uni, what do millennials and Generation Z consumers care most about? And how have their priorities been changed by the pandemic? How are their behaviors or choices being influenced by the expectations of financial products, if you're able to say?
Thank you, Bella. And almost 9 p.m. here in Jakarta, Indonesia. I really enjoy the conversation, also the insights and the spirit. I can say that 100% of the speaker actually, at first, when a few months ago, Nuru contacted me via email, we never met, even though we share the same experience as Eisenhower Fellowship alumni. At first I said that, why me? I don't think that I'm fit for this. I'm journalist, but and this is everything is about how to honor the women in finance in Africa. So I kind of feel that I feel alone in this forum, but honestly speaking, I can relate 100%. The women in finance, not only in finance, but also all women life in Africa and continent actually similar with women in Indonesia, in Asia. So I learned a lot and kind of reflection about women's situation in my country too. Congratulations, Nuru Mugambi, for this very prestigious and important initiative. Probably we can talk to have similar things in Indonesia, the cooperation between fellow across continent. Women support women's spirit, of course, and also congratulations to the recipient of award. So my take on the women thing is investing in women, meaning investing in brighter future. So I took this quote actually when I invite the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia, Madam Retno Marsudi, very great women, to discussion with Women Journalists Forum in Indonesia. I also chair of Women Journalists Forum Indonesia for the second term. So that's really I think my conclusion while I'm listening and enjoying the session. So like I said, Nuru invited me because we are Eisenhower Fellow. So let me share one paragraph about this fellowship. Nuru from 2016 African program. I was from 2011, multi-nation program. So this Eisenhower Fellowship actually is a leadership fellowship by an independent organization created in 1953 by a group of prominent American citizens to honor President Dwight D. Eisenhower for his contribution to humanity as a soldier, statesman, and world leader. This organization identifies, empower, and connect innovative leaders through a transformative fellowship experience and lifelong engagement in a global network of dynamic change agents committed to creating a world more peaceful, prosperous, and just. So I think, Nuru and all the wonderful ladies, Angaza Award is the concrete implementation of EF objective toward a new future by build bridges of understanding across borders and cultures and work together to better our world. I'm a journalist for more than 32 years, covering various kind of issues from women empowerment, conflict resolution, APEC, COP, Davos, WEF, and many things. I'm chief editor of IDN Times, the leading media digital for millennial and Gen Z in Indonesia. And we are part of the IDN Media Group. In fact, today, 8th of June, is our 8 years anniversary. So IDN Media has grown to become the leading media platform company that positively impacts 7 million, as Bella said. We aim to democratize information and bring positive impact to society. So Indonesia, to answer the Bella question, Indonesia has around 270 million population compared to other generation. Currently, the proportion of millennial in Indonesia is the largest, 30%, yeah, 30+%, followed by generation G, Gen Z, 29.2%, and generation X, 25.7%. This data based on Indonesia Millennial Report that we publish every year by IDN Times. The number of millennials that has increasingly dominated the demographic mix is both a challenge and an opportunity for the Indonesian nation, both now and in the future. So the key to managing the millennials lies in this keyword that they will determine Indonesia's future. For this reason, all parties, including the government and business leaders, including financial sector, must begin to prepare themselves for millennial as their workforce and also for the customer. So according to Indonesia Millennial Report, companies Indonesia has in average 75 to 70% employees in millennial ages, meaning from 24 to 35 years old. That also applies toward winning the market for the product and services. That's why digitalization paving the way to financial inclusion is really important. About the Indonesia economic, despite the global economic disruption in the past few years, the Indonesia economy has seen the growth of 3.69% in the gross domestic brutto in 2021, according to Indonesia Central Bank. World Bank has forecasted a growth of 5.1% in the country GDP for this year. As the adult population of Indonesia reached 181 million, the percentage of the unbanked is 51% and underbanked is 26%. So this is also the challenge. Our government aiming to achieve 90% financial inclusion by 2024. So one of the biggest challenge is financial inclusion. And IDN Times roles is, of course, doing the public literacy, especially for our audience, millennials and Gen Z. While the number, we also the country that consists 6,000 inhabited islands. Traditional banks are facing a major challenge to cover all of them. Yeah, so there is a big gap between the financial institution that advanced and already using the technology, included artificial intelligence base of technology, with the traditional bank that still use the bank agent to deal with the customer in the rural areas. So, so the digitalization is also become the challenge, but that's also become the priority of the government. You probably know that Indonesia is the G20 presidency for 2022. And one of the major themes from 3 major themes is digitalization in economy. So the financial institution using this G20 to speedness the process for digitalization. Not to mention that pandemic in the last 2.5 years also create the digitalization acceleration. But we are still very lag behind other countries, even in ASEAN, in terms of digital literacy, especially in finance. We only 35% of Indonesian population already on the financial inclusion and digital got the digital literation and understand about the bank, about the insurance, about the financial product and services. And the second one, now all parties also eyeing Gen Z as potential market and potential workforce too. IDN research show how Gen Z in Indonesia is shaping the future of shopping and the product and services. Some of the finding I want to share is the pandemic makes Gen Z more familiar with online shopping and transaction included in financial product. The fashion and beauty categories dominate online shopping. E-wallet signs as the favorite payment method for online shopping. Yeah. In the last 2 years in Indonesia, we saw that at least 4 private-owned banks turn their focus as a digital bank. But and also the other top 10 bank in the country that not known as a digital bank also heavily invest in a digital infrastructure. So that's answer the question: what is actually and how the banking sector and in insurance financial sector responds to the potential market for among millennial and Gen Z. The last one, Bella. IDN Times, because we are the largest, has the largest audience in the country for millennial and Gen Z. We publish thousands of article recommendation for our audience about any financial tip from investment to choosing financial services. The NFT thing, blockchains, cryptocurrency is really appeals to this generation. We got millions of readers, and during the pandemic, the stock market of Indonesia increased more than 100% of their number of investors, and 90% is millennial, included my nephew. So that's how millennials, because they kind of like feeling the millennials got laid off a lot during pandemic because they're still new, and they kind of like feeling uncertainty about their future. That's why they start to think about the investment, how to invest in and how to invest in financial products. So that's why the financial services try to respond about this to these opportunities.
Thank you so much for your very full and well-informed response to the question. I'd like to, in the interest of time, I'd like to ask or pick Rina Hicks' question. I beg your pardon, I'd like to pick Rina Hicks' brain about women's economic empowerment. I wonder, so foreign investment has historically fueled economic growth in the continent. I wonder, how can Africa enhance domestic capital markets, especially to create efficient systems for financial flows to benefit the medium, small, and micro sectors, if you will, Rina?
Yeah, so thank you so much, Bella. I think I must begin by recognizing that we have quite a number of exchanges in Africa across the continent that have improved over the years. I think it was in '93 when we had the African Securities and Exchanges Association being formed, initially by the Nairobi Stock Exchange as the founding member, but now we have about 27 members serving 35 countries. But in terms of just how to enhance that domestic capital market, to raise capital, and also create efficient systems for financial flows for the medium, micro, and small enterprises, one of the things that needs to be done is continually develop a regulatory framework that addresses the needs of SMEs. I think the frameworks that exist in most of the continent are very limiting for small and medium-sized businesses to even consider coming to the capital markets. So, we need a framework that also encourages innovation. I do know that we have an organization called Pezesha, and I just want to highlight them and just give them as an example, because it's a women-led organization that has been very, very innovative, that has created a crowdfunding sort of product that enables SMEs finance working capital, and also providing investment opportunities for investors. So that sort of innovation is very necessary, and to encourage people to think out of the box. And so capital markets across the continent can think through how to provide opportunities for people to innovate around raising capital, it would be great, and to create a regulatory framework that encourages that. I think the second thing is for governments to just recognize that they're there to enable business and privatize state-owned corporations, because by privatizing them, then they will increase the number of companies that, and privatized by, I mean by issuing an initial public offering, so that we have an increase in the number of listed entities, so that then we have increased investor participation and interest even domestically. Being in the industry, I've noticed a lot of pension funds over the years, insurance companies and other institutions have increasingly begun to snap the stock exchange, because they feel, there's only 5 stocks I can consider, or 3 stocks I can consider, depending on the market. I know South Africa, Nigeria is a bit different from the rest of Africa, perhaps even Egypt and Morocco, but for majority of Africa, that's the story. So in order to increase investor participation and interest in capital markets, who would then invest in these SMEs, increase privatization, in my view. I think the other thing is, how can we introduce more incentives for SMEs to consider the stock exchange and the bond markets, to consider those places as centers or that they can raise capital from. So more incentives, more training around the opportunity that exists. My fourth one is just making available free information and data, so that people can actually understand the opportunities in the market. And then lastly, investor education. If SMEs don't know that the capital market exists for them, if investors don't know what opportunities they are, then it then ceases to be a potential opportunity. So investor education, as my final point, is very, very key to enable these SMEs to raise capital.
Fantastic. Education is absolutely empowering. Second question I have for you, Rina, is the Africa Continental Free Trade Area has opened up on the continent. It's opened up the continent more to regional trade and investment. What gender-specific factors make it more difficult for women to scale Pan-African companies? And how can women within the financial sector address these factors, if you will?
Thank you. I love that Dr. Weeks really articulated this for us so well in her speech. And I was really inspired by what she had to say. The fact is that when you look globally, majority of investors are male. So, I saw some statistics that male account for 92% of partners in the top 100 venture firms, venture capital firms. And female-founded startups receive only 2% of the total investment in venture capital. So we need to turn this around a little bit. How about we get more investors as women, because we do have women investors, we do have women who have capital and have businesses that have capital, investing more in other women businesses. I think it's important to deliberately, as women, seek out investment opportunities in other women, mentor them as well, provide mentorship and guidance also for women who are in that space. Now, culturally, that's another gender-specific issue. We are naturally trained to play it safe. We're taught that, don't take too much risk. And by nature, startups begin by venturing into something that is new, unknown, risky, difficult than usual. And so how can we encourage women, younger ones especially, to venture into the unknown? And I think financial institutions, I think ABSA specifically has taken the time to think through how can we help women by creating women-specific products and programs to encourage them in their journey of entrepreneurship. And so I would encourage a lot more financial institutions to consider how can we encourage women by supporting them, providing mentorship, perhaps even incubation to help them in their journey. I think the other one is training programs that are not just based on this is bookkeeping and this is how you run a business and this is marketing, but training on softer skills like drive and initiative and work-life integration, because that's a big deal for us as women. How do you balance the children? I remember what Mary Wamai said earlier, you get a call and you're in a board meeting. How do you manage that work-life integration? Issues around perseverance and creating support groups along the way are so critical. What's interesting to see is that 58% of entrepreneurs or business people are made up of women in Africa. 58% of businesses are owned by Africans. However, a lot of those that are owned by women are small, dusty side of the road type of businesses. So they are involved in business, but it's really to solve the problems that they have. And in Togo, I saw that a training that taught small entrepreneurs to show initiative, be proactive, and demonstrate perseverance yielded really impressive results. They shared that that training took 40%. So 40% average increase in profits in the women who are trained. I'm just like, can you imagine if we just escalated this to the rest of the continent by just providing skills around the issues that are very women specific? Work-life integration, drive, initiative, and perseverance, and creating support. That would be my submission, Bella.
Fantastic. We worked on a story with my colleagues in Africa and Europe, and we wrote a story about how women in Africa are not limited to selling tomatoes on the road. So I get what you're saying. If I could move to Marjorie Mayida. According to the IFC women-owned businesses, these businesses are more vulnerable to investment constraints. If you consider the physical, transition, and liability risks posed by climate change, what's the role of finance on the continent when it comes to climate change resilience, Marjorie?
Thank you very much. I think Her Excellency Fatima actually did a very good job around this subject. Yes, climate change is one of the biggest threats that we've seen globally, and this has also affected businesses. And women businesses are not spared as well. So Her Excellency Fatima did highlight some of the risks that businesses are facing as a result of climate change. And key to it being physical risk and transition risk that has an impact on business operations, coming from distraction from physical events such as droughts, floods. We also see markets transitioning, costs building up, regulation around climate change issues. We also see liability risk coming through. So there are a whole lot of issues that we are seeing right now as a result of climate change. So what is the role of finance, or broadly saying financial services sector? The issue of education, every other speaker has talked about education today. And I think financial education is quite key, especially for women businesses. Someone talked about women only running businesses along roads selling tomatoes. And there are efforts to scale up women businesses, but they also need support in terms of education. So building awareness around climate change risks is quite key. In Old Mutual Zimbabwe, we've got a program that we run that is called On the Money program. It just highlights the basics around financial management of businesses, and it targets the small to medium enterprises and even women in rural areas, just to upskill them. And I think such a program can be used to also build awareness around climate change risks and how businesses, even small businesses, can respond to these risks. The second issue is that I think aligning financial flows towards low carbon and climate resilient businesses is also another key issue. where financiers in the form of banks or other financial services sector players make a deliberate effort to fund low carbon or climate resilient businesses or projects. We've seen a number of institutions doing so, and I think Her Excellency Fatima actually highlighted some of the work that the development financial institutions are doing in areas such as clean energy projects, building efficient buildings, and also maintaining wetlands. So that should be a deliberate issue around the financiers. Financiers can also insist on sustainability considerations or even to give incentives to businesses or projects that take into account climate change issues as they build their models. And I just hope that women can also participate in such projects and also participate in the solution around climate change risks. We also talk about innovative products coming through to the market, and we've seen a number of markets issuing green bonds, development impact bonds, blended finance, and I think there needs to be a deliberate focus in continuously developing innovative financial products that ensure that the whole market participates in terms of providing solutions around climate change risks. And in addition, so I think development financial institutions have been very active in this area, and there needs to be focus around funding research, innovation around this area so that solutions can be continuously found as we go forward. And lastly, in terms of products, looking at financial services sector, we also need risk products that also address the liability risk. In Zimbabwe, again, we've got a short-term insurance company which has offered a product which is called the Weather Index Microinsurance Product, and is specifically focused on the small to medium enterprise people who are participating in the agriculture sector. So we need more of these in the financial services sectors across the continent so that it becomes a deliberate agenda item in terms of financing projects or businesses.
Absolutely. You've brokered several landmark deals throughout your career, Marjorie, including the Eastgate SME Mall in Harare. What is the Eastgate SME Mall, and why are such investments needed?
Thank you very much. And it's quite true that I've participated in a number of projects here in Zimbabwe under Old Mutual, but specifically Eastgate Market, which is a state-of-the-art shopping mall. It's not a shopping mall, it's a shopping market located in the heart of Harare, which is the capital city of Zimbabwe. So it's a double-story building with just under 12,000 square meters of flexible space. What makes this building very special and peculiar is the fact that it's a mixed-use building. We find retail shops in the building. We find line shops in the building. We find market stalls, basically 40 square meter market stalls in the building. And across all the sectors, industrial, we've got a segment for the industrial sector. We've got segment for each of the sectors of the economy. We find residential flats in the same buildings. We find restaurants in the buildings, butcheries, entertainment areas, even surgeries. There's a space for banks in the building. So it's an ecosystem within itself. It's a one-stop shop that makes it very special. Why we should have more of these? So I've highlighted that this building is in the city center. So, and given that it's an ecosystem in itself, we've seen quite a lot of traffic coming through, and that also contributes to the regeneration of the CBD, which is a phenomenon that we've seen across various markets in Africa. And besides that, this building has performed very well. It's been operating for about 4 years now. and our occupancies have stayed above 90% throughout the period. And most of the participants or tenants in this building, we find them as women. And it's because they participate in the small businesses more and more. So I think we should, given that our market is getting more and more informalized, which I also think is the same across Africa, it becomes very important to respond to the market and create buildings that are friendly to the structure of the market. So because we are offering very small spaces as opposed to the big spaces that we've traditionally been offering the market, the small spaces, you find that the small to medium enterprise businesses do afford the rentals. They've got very flexible terms and short lease terms as well. So I think this model, we've just done one in Harare, but we want to replicate this across the country because we've seen that this is a very positive response to what is happening in the environment around informalization of the economy.
Fantastic. We've had very great insights and input from Uni, Rina, and Marjorie as far as women and youth entrepreneurs are concerned, and how the regulatory spaces can enable and support women and youth entrepreneurs to scale their businesses while also contributing to sustainability as far as the climate is concerned. So grateful for your time and for your attention and your very well-informed, very elaborate and fruitful, valuable responses to my question. I'd like to hand over to Nuru. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, ladies. Very interesting insights from each of the countries, learning from Uni and the Gen Z market, and of course, just listening to the investment opportunities coming from East Africa to South Africa. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ladies, for sharing your thoughts and your remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, we're almost done. We want to share a final message from our sponsors, and we will be also sharing a call for nominations. Thank you, All Mutual, so much. And indeed, we must grow with Africa, especially women in the financial sector. We must grow with Africa. We must take care of the women on the dusty roads. We must take care of the women in the marketplaces, and also the women within our hallways. So that's the challenge to all the ladies who are in the financial sector who are joining us today. We've heard a lot today about the Angaza Awards. We've heard from last year's winners. We've heard from this year's winners. So now we want to give you an opportunity to think about entering the Angaza Awards. The 2023 call for applications will open up in September. We hope that you will consider engaging and submitting an application for the Angaza Awards so we can celebrate you and the work you're doing. Now we would like to end the program with a vote of thanks. We thank you so much for hanging in with us. We've had a lot of insightful speeches and remarks and nuggets of wisdom and insights throughout the program. We really want to thank the people who made it work. We want to thank our financial sponsors Equity, Old Mutual and Remitly, thank you so much. We want to thank our partners, Platform Africa, ASEA, Leading Ladies Network Ghana, New Faces, New Voices Kenya, Gracia Michelle Trust, East Africa Venture Capital Association, Kenya Bankers Association, Women on Boards Network, and Gazi. Of course, Digital Banker as well. Allow me to introduce you to our secretariat, who is also here with us and been helping behind the scenes. We really want to thank Ms. Eunice Nyawira Thairo, who's the head of operations and also co-founder of HISA. Thank you so much, Nyawira. We want to thank Christina Nkirote. She is the brain behind and the hands behind the Angaza brand. She's our branding and graphic design support person. So we thank Ms. Christina for the wonderful work. We want to thank Mr. Eric Jackson. Mr. Eric Jackson has been behind the scenes helping with our technology aspect. For those of us who follow our podcasts, Eric is one of the men behind the machine. So we really thank Mr. Eric Jackson, Chief Technology Officer, Kenyan Wall Street, and co-founder of HISA as well. We want to thank Ms. Marita Obare, a PR expert who's also been supporting us. Marita came on board to support us this year. She raised her hand and said, let me help you. So we really thank Marita for her wonderful ideas, including the People's Choice Award, which was her brainchild. So thank you so much, Marita, for coming on board. Of course, we met Mr. Eric Suma earlier in the program. Thank you, Eric. Thank you for your team, and thank you for jumping on board to help spotlight women. You and Mr. Jackson are surely our he for she champions in the room. Finally, I want to thank myself. And really, I want to thank my daughter and everybody who's helped to support the Angaza Awards program. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. The program is over. We will be sharing with you a really highlight newsletter that just captures some of the insights. We heard a lot of resources and ideas from the SME Mall in Harare that Ms. Marjorie talked about, to the African Union Fund that Ms. Fatima talked about, to the work that the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf program is doing in terms of amplifying women on the continent in leadership. So we'll try to put together a little quick summary of a lot of the resources that were talked about today, just so you can have your little cheat sheet to help you point you in the right direction if you want to remember some of the points that were raised in the program. We really want to thank you all for joining us again. And we really want to wish you the best for the rest of the year and for your journey. God bless. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Nuru and team. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Very much, and bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.